夏季赛半程战罢，联盟新格局初见端倪。一枝独秀，领跑联盟。谁能打破他们的不败金身？赛季过半，一胜难求。下一任救世主又在何方？
他们这边有梦想，你要做一辈子的懦夫。身为队长，还是一球想到了！
破除魔咒后，迎接他们的是一飞冲天，还是昙花一现？
残血过来，一次元砍了一个 R 闪，直接下去！我的天啊，天打五雷轰！
再度崛起后，他们的韧性能经受住整个夏天的考验吗？
一个 Q 加一级拿着最后一下，哇！修罗是收到一个暴走，
下一波选择交闪现以后，艾卡下暴雨直接先收下落了人头。
是王者满血归位，夏季赛提前迎来大结局，还是以逸待劳，新一代星球之光捍卫主场？所有问题的答案都由你来亲眼见证。
Yet to come. Like summer nights, rain. I'm gonna dance, tell you my name, and I'm free. You should do this here, talk about my day.
Where do we stand? The question I asked you yesterday if you tuned in to the LPL after our return from Rift Rivals. Where do we stand? The LPL looking at our top matchups here today with Top Esports and JDG heading onto the Rift, and LNG and EDG, our match of the week, coming up a little bit later. And right now our Rift Rivals team need to show us that the LPL is still that dominant region, still the dominant force. We get an answer here today. My name's Jayce Penko, joined by Barento Raz Mohammed, who joins me after Rift Rivals for the first time back on the desk.
Yeah.
Welcome back, kind sir.
Nice to be back, of course. We made that trip you already mentioned to Korea.
We did.
And we had to be swimming back.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good event, but for me, the last day was real fun to watch, just
Yeah.
because the whole storyline that came involved with it. You know, the Pantheon that was also, we got to see Yagao played earlier in the week as well.
Right.
So that's fun to see that takeaway, that impassioned speech from Doinby. And then that's where history cuts it off.
That's
the tape
right.
doesn't exist after that point.
Game number 4, that's where it all ended. We get to see our final 2 Rift Rivals teams return here today, but before we do, let's catch you up on the LPL and what has happened in the past, because this is a big announcement. We're now to 5 days, Raz.
More LPL. It's all you need to know. We did Wednesdays last split, but we didn't do Tuesdays that time. Now we're combining them. We're doing 5 days. It says starting from week 7, but in reality, that's just a few days from now, too. So more days of broadcast to be able to cover. That just leaves the one lonely Friday that we do not cover, that you guys can always catch, of course, on DouYu TV,
That's right.
on Huya as well. But that's just going to be something that we're going to be excited about, to be able to commentate in these exciting games.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the train keeps rolling. And here in the LPL, I mentioned it before, everything's changing, and including the standings at the moment, because there's one team still sitting out there, nice
Boom.
and pretty.
FPX, looking good. 8-0, of course, their last opponents was an easy one in BG Gaming, currently sitting at 0-7. One thing that I'm excited about, I think you mentioned this before we got into the day, is that, we're a lot more confident about the teams that are right now situated within the playoffs. LNG is looking great alongside Top Esports, Billy, Invictus Gaming coming into form. The only ones that I'm concerned about are teams that were in the playoffs last time around. Team WE, Dominus, looking like that's just a far, cry, whimper, not looking too good for them. JDG, our finalists, are still sitting below 500. They need to be putting in work, so a lot of focus on what they're going to be doing later today.
A must-win here today against Top Esports is our first matchup. And Top sitting so pretty at the moment, second, third place in the making. We know that JDG could help cement them as well.
Yeah, so I want to be able to see what they do. Remember, they're the teams that came back from Rift Rivals, the teams that were looking the poorest one of the 4 teams that went over. So I want to be able to see what developments they can go through. But later today,
match of the week.
Yeah.
This was hard to pick up because both series are outstanding in their field, but LNG, EDG, both teams vying for playoffs as well.
And these were the teams that were left behind, didn't get the opportunity to make it to the international Rift Rivals. Sad for EDG, a team that constantly makes those events, but obviously had that drop off last split. So being able to make that huge jump with the help of JJ. So JJ versus SOFM later today, be able to catch that one. That's going to be an exciting matchup.
I like that we're focusing on the jungle matchup. Second matchup, as you just mentioned there. But first into top esports and JDG, our two worst performing teams at Rift Rivals is fair to say, considering they weren't able to pick up a win against the LCK.
I mean, at the end of the day, top esports fell to Damwon in exciting fashion.
Yeah, very good form.
Got styled by I kind of mentioned Tahm being a mirror team, a team that has the exact same style, but ultimately it was Nuggery that came in and slayed the team. Just slapped them.
Yeah.
So that was a bit unfortunate for Top Esports. JDG was an interesting one because I felt like they had struggled even versus the LMS and VCS teams. Those were the more contested games. It wasn't just a stomp on those ones. So for JDG, I'm a little bit concerned for them because there's inconsistencies with all the players. But there's one thing you can rely on.
What are we relying on?
Yagao and Knight.
That's true.
For both of these teams, it is their mid laners. Remember, when they both came into the league, 2018 spring, I had a great debate.
I saw that video you
with
reposted.
Yes, me and FLICKR went at it about who we felt was going to be the rookie of the split, albeit Knight started slow on his time around. And Yagao came in being as flexible as he was. I love the fact that both of these players developed and they are the identities of their team. For Yagao, this is going to be a challenge, of course. We're coming into the newest patch, and the one pick that you're seeing in Silas, I doubt he's going to pick up.
Do not touch that. Yeah, that's right.
We will be seeing him more of a jungler, but the Zoe, the Jayce, specifically the Zoe, where he came in and styled at Rift Rivals. That's the type of Yagao you want to be able to see.
I was going to say, before Rift Rivals, I was getting concerned for JDG, and although it wasn't the result that we wanted in the end, for JDG, it felt like Yagao powered up a little, which is why this mid lane matchup, I think it's going to give us a bit more.
That's why, if we're just talking about the lessons of Rift Rivals, it's more about for JD, they rely so heavily on those individuals to really stand tall.
Yeah.
Because Imp and LvMao, there's a lot of inconsistencies around them. In playoff time, they looked unstoppable. In the regular season in spring, they looked to be the worst duo lane of the majority of the league. And then in the summer split, we're actually seeing them ramp back up. But once again, it comes down to Flawless making the decision of which lanes does he want to prioritize. Because if it's going back to the idea of going straight top lane, then they're going to have issues in the bottom side of the map, being able to pick up their own advantages, especially up against opponents that are really zeroing in on that lane with their junglers. And then I said Yagao for a reason. Yagao, during the last split, heavily underperformed.
Yep.
As a player, a lot of the times, he relies on his core picks to really carry him through. And I think him and Flawless hasn't really been, gelling well in how they want to be able to play out the map. So those are the points that I'm concerned about with JDG.
Let's switch over, because top esports, I mean, can you apply the same lessons when they don't have their full roster here today?
There we go. They made the announcement on Weibo that, of course, Chocho is going to be coming in for Ben because Ben has had visa issues since coming through Rift Rivals. So we're going to have to figure out if that's going to be a consistent issue going forward. But for Song XX specifically, he just had an illness. So it makes a lot of sense. When you find yourself traveling from Korea over, anytime I go through airplanes, anytime I'm near anybody on an airport, any babies, any crying, anything.
Yeah,
you're at risk.
Get in that small space, you get sick so easily.
So it could be just because of that, but of course he is ill. So we're gonna be seeing the debut of AKI.
Yeah, Aki coming into the mix. So I'm excited to see this one in action and. Give him a chance, come onto the Rift as they come onto the stage.
There we go.
369, Aki's there, Knight in the mid lane. You've got LokeN and Chocho now. And Chocho in the past has been an AD carry. We're going to be seeing him in here in support.
I'm excited for Chocho just because if we're talking about the history of top esports, it really is intertwined with Dan Gaming that initially came into the league from the LDL. And so to be able to see that team come in, currently one of the casters is Cat, so Cat and Chocho were actually a duo at that time. It's going to be exciting. Speaking of excitement.
Hello, DX Boston.
I love this guy. I don't give a damn if I don't understand. Let's hear it. And we're introducing JD.
It was a lot of drama. I love it. JD coming onto the field in full force here.
There we go. And he's announced it. We're going to be seeing Kanavi starting today. So that's going to be exciting. We saw Kanavi actually at Rift Rivals, so I love the fact that we get to see a closer eye on him.
Yep.
For JD, if we're talking about underperformance, overall, we've already pretty much hit the nail on the bullet. I like the idea that they're kind of throwing in Kanavi. That doesn't have a drastic change in champion pool, but communication's been a hot point of discussion.
Kanavi played the whole last series against WE. I just have to give him his time. He's fantastic. It's the unique part of the Jingdong Beijing Arena. No one else really has a host like this at the moment.
Yeah, that's why you gotta love the venues that come through in the LPL. It's what makes us special.
Yep.
It's what makes us different. Every venue has their own identity, and that's JD's. So I love the idea. I remember when Team WE and Sion started up with the drums. Obviously, it ended up moving else to Hangzhou. Hangzhou, that is.
That's true.
And RNG has the flag waving. They have the moon up the venue.
They got the mascot that harasses RNG as they come into their arena.
You say harassment.
It
I say
is.
love.
He pulls Big back.
It's a lot of love.
It's a lot of love. Okay, I'll agree on that. But I'm going to come back to what I was talking to just before we looked at DX Masters, which was the fact that JDG, when they made their return, it was against WE a couple of days ago. Kanavi played all 3 games. We see Kanavi returning once again. And it seems like JDG are trying to put this jungler in action who hasn't had much play time before Rift Rivals.
And it's good. If you ever take a notice to how Coach Ohm ends up taking his teams and really builds them, what you saw last split, or at least the end of the regular season, he was throwing in a lot of players just to be able to get a better idea of who those players are, how they play at key moments.
Yep.
And he doesn't want to show too much in terms of just like overall strategy. I don't think this is a good example of just not wanting to show strategy. I think it's more of an example of giving a good test to Kanavi, because I felt like he did have good performances. The only issue they ever have with Kanavi is more just conversations within the game, communication. Ultimately, of course, being a Korean import, it's always going to be an issue.
Yep.
People will say the same with Flawless, but Flawless has been in China for a long time by now.
I was also going to mention that this is a great time.
Superman, baby.
A great time to actually go up against top esports, because if Aki's coming into the jungle, a chance for Kanavi to be tested and for him to actually show some dominance here, because if he was going up against XX, who knows what the situation could have been.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a great test for Kanavi, especially going up against Aki. Aki, I've been seeing his solo queue accounts. He's a very high elo player. My only concern at the time was that I just felt there was never going to be a position for him to come in, much like Levi.
Yep.
When Levi was on JD, a lot of the times it was, Flawless is not only the more consistent jungler, similar champion pools, and Kanavi really hits the same idea and vibe. So I want to see it. It's always nice to be able to see rotating lineups just for the fire that it gives the players to continue to perform at a good speed. Of course, there's always that question of confidence, but I'm never really questioning Flawless in his confidence. I always feel like he comes in always outputting the pressure that he's done, applied in the last week. So he's a very consistent player.
That's what you want to see out of JDG as a unit as well. We're just zooming over. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that on purpose. We're just taking a look at Zoom. And in the past couple of weeks before Rift Rivals, I was looking at Zoom and I felt like he wasn't getting the resources he needed. He wasn't as consistent as we saw him in the spring split. I bring that up because the top lane for JDG has always been this core element, and today he'll be tested in the full matchup against 369.
Yeah, I think this is always going to be a discussion about the top lane match. This is the second time we're, just as a caveat, getting a great look at that poster. 3 + 6 = 9. Good math. I never thought of that myself, and I put myself to shame every day. But it's a great challenge to the top lane, because for a lot of the times when resources are put into Zoom, the champions he ends up playing is like GP. A lot of the times, champions that take time to really come into play, that really, feel powerful enough to take fights.
Yeah.
But 369 just goes all out. I'm talking about like laning phase type champions to allow usually XX to come in and get a lot of ganks across. We saw that when they went up against Damwon in Rift Rivals, that they set up a huge tent top lane. So they're very weird styles, and I want to be able to see what JD's style is, because it has changed.
Yep.
A lot of the times for audience, fans coming in, looking at what this team has evolved to, from being just top lane centric to, I guess, top lane, mid lane centric, and then bottom lane just performing on their own without resources, and then ultimately Flawless saying, maybe I can put a little more faith in this, especially with how LvMao started to dominate early. But at the end of the day, I feel like this team, no matter what they do in the early game, has always been a strong mid-game team.
Yeah.
A mid-game team that ultimately focuses on picking up as many fights as possible. That's why they're entertaining to watch. LvMao is the type of person that always wants to fight, and that's what makes him special in my eyes when we're talking about supports in the league. Crisp is a good one, Ming is a great one, Mako, they're all great leaders. But when LvMao says fight, they go in instantly. So that's what I enjoy about the team.
That's why you got to see some of the pocket picks like the Bard as well over at Rift Rivals. That was a fun look.
That was a good one.
That was a good look.
That was a good one. Great example, too, is the last game we saw when the Pantheon game came in and they were essentially being outscaled. They were willing to take up as many fights as possible, at least to just kind of force the enemy team in an uncomfortable position. That's the type of style they are. If they feel like they've gotten outscaled, they're not going to sit back and wait like you see in multiple regions out there and fish for mistakes. They try and force mistakes from enemy teams.
You want to see the playstyle from Yagao where something like the Pantheon, specifically the pick, excites me because Doomby played it about a day before, day or two before, rather 3 days when Rift Rivals just ended. You see Yagao jump on something like that and you're like, wow, cool. Is it 9-13? Is it a change in JDG as a unit?
It's more so what we saw. Like, it's just a counter pick to Irelia. You know, those are the type of picks that you see a few times in high-ranking solo queue, but you really just wait for that one person to make a composition out of it, and then you go fully behind it. But remember, we're in 9.13, and unlike North America, Mordekaiser is enabled. Both Mordekaiser and Qiyana are available to play.
And what we learned yesterday was that Mordekaiser so far has had a higher priority. The only person who played in the LPL was Kuro, and that was 2 days ago. So both are open at the moment. Let's see if Top Esports want to take one.
And you better believe that Zoom is the type to pick up the Mordekaiser when given the chance. So we might see that Pantheon pick now that we see the Irelia first pick from Top Esports.
Very early Irelia. We also play a lot of Renekton in the LPL, and Zoom will pick that up if he has a chance. So we're looking for the solo lanes to be a priority.
That's a great point. I mean, Renekton has been a great pick for Zoom, and I would expect Yagao to want to pick it up himself. So it's a great trap to be able to at least follow the lane. I don't care who plays it. As long as you follow the Irelia lane, that's a great trap for JDG to throw in.
First of all, the Gragas, though, now being often paired with the Yasuo.
And Yagao is a fabulous Yasuo player. We haven't seen it in a long time, but remember his spring split, and in 2018, one of his strongest picks were the Yasuo. I don't know if he's ever going to go back to that style again, but you would love to see it happen.
Jayce doesn't give you a definite answer right now. Locked in as a potential flex here for JDG. Top Esports throwing homage out to Vici Gaming. Or rather, Ian himself. As looks like it will just be the safe pick. Arky making his debut in the jungle onto the Sejuani.
Already, you know, pairing up the Irelia with a great combination. Just that passive that Sejuani has alongside with her own stun. Great amount of pressure within these lanes, so I want to be able to see what that Jayce, I don't care who plays it, can deal with that pressure. I think if we're looking at the jungle matchup, you would expect it to be the Gragas. I don't think that LvMao is willing to pick that up himself for a support Graggy. Won't be able to really handle the 2v2 that Sejuani could throw her way.
Also on the glacial end of things, the Tahm Kench pairs nicely in that. Lot of stun already on the side of Top Esports and Chain CC. JDG, Imp gonna pick up the Kalista. Only been played 3 times and all of them wins.
Good luck to LokeN and Chocho. Oftentimes when you see teams succeed versus Top Esports is because they zero in on the bottom side of the map, recognizing that, you know, LokeN and Ben are weak side players, which is not a bad thing, but means that you can focus onto that side of the map pretty easily, knowing that Top Esports heavily put their resources top lane, and you start trading. So it's a good chance for JD to start looking at LokeN and Chocho and saying, you guys haven't played together for quite a long time, and start testing Chocho.
I see a volley bear ban now. Shout out to Life from Gen G, who played it the other day in the win against Griffin. But maybe it's transitioning over to the LPL. Either way, we're not going to see it this game. Just sit and think on that for a bit.
I love the idea of just Kalista and Volibear. Because remember, way back when Kalista initially came in, it was a big question of like, okay, who can you throw in and get the most effectiveness out of it? You saw a lot of Kalista cannons as a bottom lane support. So I love the fact that we're diving back into that whole, you know, experimentation.
And if we're looking at pairs, remember things like Nautilus are still available. Big chunky supports like Alistar that LvMao has played in the past, still there. So if Top Esports want to go down that route, which they don't, they ban away the Mordekaiser, means both of those are still open.
Yeah, I did say the Mordekaiser was something you want to take away from Zoom, so I would expect that Jayce to be a top. Oh, looks like that's going to be challenged immediately.
Yeah. As the Aatrox just locked in, still slips its way through in the LPL.
Very rarely do you ever see a support counter pick last pick.
Yeah.
That's full faith in, LvMao to be able to pick up, let's say, a Bard. Just he wants to get a full focus of what the composition really is. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think Bard works incredibly well with the composition that Top Esports has. The ultimate works fantastically versus the Tahm Kench, who, yeah, sure, you can rescue your unit, but I've just ulted you. Now you're both sitting there.
Yep.
Same goes to the GP as well. How can you drink some oranges on that? So I think that JD would be eyeing the Bard pick.
So it's just the rest of the lanes we have to worry about for Top Esports while we discover what the support will end up being. The Viktor, a safer lane, perhaps. It's going to be the test of fate here for 369, or rather Knight, excuse me, as he takes it into the mid lane.
All right, lock it in. Oh, all right, this is the least exciting
basic
one.
combo, the least exciting, you're right.
But we have 18 seconds, okay? Just hover. LvMao just playing it safe. Hover the safe pick until you find something creative. I like the Nautilus actually a lot better. That's the more common pick you see tailed alongside the Kalista, so it just locks it in. Perfect. JD's got their composition.
Yeah. All right, Raz, break it down a little bit further. Because for me, for JDG, this is indicative of what we've seen in the past. Everyone really on comfort, playing towards the usual JDG style.
I mean, it's just a lot of early game power is what I'm seeing, specifically from the bottom side of the map. And it gives a lot of great focus. Communication issues can certainly be dashed by just a heavy focus on Kanavi coming bot side, especially post 6 for Kalista and Nautilus. We've seen these compositions a lot.
Yep.
So I want to be able to see what Kanavi and Yagao can do to the mid lane, because if they can get a great early game gank, just any bit of burst on top of the Irelia, then Sejuani's counter gank is not very powerful on that one.
Negate the 2v2, which we talk so much about with Irelia and the Sejuani, of course. Haven't touched on the bottom lane of Top Esports, with the Viktor being the AD carrier. Apologize for my misspeak there. And the Tahm Kench for safety, getting the shove and pulling back in the lane.
Yeah, I mean, Viktor Tahm Kench is an incredibly safe lane. In fact, we saw it at Rift Rivals itself. We saw the ability of, if you're getting pushed away from the lanes, if you're getting heavily shoved, and people are trying to look to dive you, you can actually start picking up support items. I'm specifically talking about Frostbang. And so you can start just, if you can't get anywhere near the CS itself, allow your Tahm Kench to start farming up with the Targons, start, harassing whenever possible. You'll still get gold. It's an incredibly safe lane because even in the worst conditions, you'll still be able to get some currency.
And also a lot of counterplay there as well with a gravity field from Viktor.
True.
So for Imp and LvMao, they're still going to have to play this lane out pretty darn well. Otherwise, we know what happens with a Viktor as he gets towards that mid-late game. LokeN going to be an unstoppable force, and a scaling team from Top Esports that will be that same force.
I'm just incredibly afraid for JD in later team fights if you get to the Barons and Dragons, these open-ended points where barrels are going to be in position. The Viktor W stasis field is going to be able to allow them to kite back. A lot to work against if you're JD.
Hard to look in 4 directions at once as we return with our 2 Rift Rivals teams going face-to-face. Top Esports and JDG, they return, looking to state their poise in the LPL. For anyone out there who doesn't know, as LGD tries to seep its way through the chants, the home crowd always goes first no matter what side they're on. So DX Masters hits Jing Dong hard, and the crowd's there to support them here in Game 1.
So as you can already see, just based off the rune choices alone, LokeN's going towards Comet for the extra bit of damage, but still has, a build towards Frostbang. So it's essentially, if you think about it, basically a Sona Taric lane.
Yep.
Or a Sona Tahm Kench.
I guess that makes sense,
there you go. But just that extra AP, it also allows the Irelia to be a powerful pick here because you can have, AD in both your mid and top lane picks while still having some AP itemization there in your composition. So works well for the overall team fight.
I want to start with jungle pathing though in this game, Raz, because in the top side we've gone to the vertical jungling side now. The Aatrox, who has the electrocute, being on the weaker side of the map at the moment. We'll see if Aki can get in and push Zoom down before he gets started.
Yeah, it's a good challenge ultimately. I don't foresee a lot of action. I think Zoom's actually quite safe for himself. I mean, he's pushing out right now, and that's a small concern, but there's just not a lot of gank pressure there from Aki and 369. And I'm looking towards the bottom lane. I don't know, I'd say the same thing with how safe ultimately the Viktor and Tahm Kench is. So we'll have to see how this trade goes, though.
There's a quick one onto QiuQiu. The aftershock just burns a little bit there, and a Ren to come in, but it's only level 1, and LokeN can just do that. We didn't really talk about the trade back potential, but the victory with Comet you mentioned is able to swiftly hit Imp.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's more now of a challenge on the junglers to get as much experience as they go through it. Hasn't even, if you look into Gragas, both of them, to be fair, dived into the enemy blue side jungle to be able to, or at least their own blue side jungle, I mean, to be able to get the full experience on their end. I don't like this idea, but we'll have to see. They're both at level 1, so it should be as easy as it gets here.
Massive wave, flash on from LvMao, the double body slam eaten up by QiuQiu underneath the turret. LvMao takes a couple of shots and the TP from Knight to come through. That was well reserved from top esports.
Yeah, well played. I mean, level 2 coming in from both QiuQiu and LokeN. It'd be a good thing to be able to see the specific replay and see when they got level 2, if it was already working there for QiuQiu, and if it was any real danger to LokeN's life. But I don't want to say it's an overreaction from Knight, because those are very dangerous dives to be able to let your team go through, right?
Yep.
So it's good to be safe, but at least JDG got something for the trouble with the teleport.
Well, you can see how they built up the wave and what actually happened in the end with Imp and LvMao pushing forward. A double wave collapsed, and LokeN and QiuQiu, the main thing is they get out. No need to burn the teleport, and you can walk back to lane, and someone is still all up, bar the teleport for Knight.
Yeah, my only question on that situation was, what did Tahm Kench level at level 1? If he had leveled his W, then that makes it actually all the more easier
He's
to
a hero, yeah.
defend. But off that wave, if he was able to rank up W, then that's a sick play. I mean, that's just, he recognized what he needed to be able to get to level 2. So those are the small things. If you guys want to replay, because you're not going to get that, then perfect.
I don't think Kanavi's going to go to that bottom lane again. You're right, it's not going to happen. Kanavi burns the flash in that engage as well. Now hovering around the mid lane with LvMao, our famous roaming support, moving mid as well, just trying to put some pressure underneath Knight.
This is certainly just going to be one of our slower games. I think Knight's got himself a good slow push here going. Actually, he's going to speed this one up knowing that Yagao is based himself. He at least wants to get this wave crashing.
Yeah.
But if you look at the top lane, it's a pretty decent freeze, or at least a good hold that Zoom has. So it's going to be harder for 369 to be able to fully push that one in. It's my only point.
And there's no support coming up from the jungle because we've gone back to regular side of the map. The vertical jungling has ceased. Camps cleared out with only a cloud towards the bottom side, so it suits the slower game.
It's going to take a little while for the wave to come in, but LokeN and QiuQiu have really effectively held the wave here at their turret. So it just makes it easier now for top esports to hold their bottom lane firm. There's not going to be a gank whatsoever. Sure, Kanavi's in the top side of the map, but even if he was bot side, it would be difficult. And Imp and LvMao are essentially held in the bot side in a long lane, and you can already see that the Sejuani is there for a possible gank.
And that camp's gone. Arky level 5. Not going to be spotted out. There's no ward in the tri-brush until Imp finally comes across.
There we go.
He doesn't need a gank. He's just nearby. So it's still response there. JDG still pushed out in this lane, however. And Imp going to try and hard shove it, just get something back. But for top esports, a net win in their weak side of the map. They're not feared of getting 3 versus 2 in the bottom lane. They've got control wards near the back of that dragon in case Kanavi decides it's time to come down. And QiuQiu just does that. Nowhere near LvMao will get.
All right, good full push here. My challenge to both these teams have always been, whether they can play to 3 lanes, right? Whenever you see top esports playing, they play to Knight and 369 almost exclusively and throw their bottom side away. We've always seen, JD in the spring split, once again, as I mentioned earlier before we got into the games, play to Zoom and do essentially the same thing to Imp and LvMao. And there is a way to essentially look at your waves, play to your waves, and actually protect at least both side lanes. Look at Zoom here. Very smart. He shouldn't actually face any danger.
Is it level 16? No, or rather 6, excuse me. That's an instant flash cannon barrage. Trying to get something in the top lane, but Zoom out with teleport available.
Zoom should be able to TP right back in, but here's the response play. Oh, good control ward.
Like I was talking about before, control wards the spot out, the gank coming down. Yagao jumps onto Knight here in this mid, and LvMao nearby, but it's only going to be a couple of trades back and forth, and really just feeling each other out seems to be this game 1 for top and JDG.
That's the second time that Knight's had the wave at his turret, so there was no real threat there from LvMao being able to make anything happen. So I think I give a lot more credit to Top Esports. There are
Yeah.
two situations, two lanes that are never putting themselves in a dangerous position, and it's making Aki's debut in the LPL incredibly easy.
Yeah, playing the calm style with Top Esports. And what we talked about in Champs, like with this composition running towards 30, 40 minutes, how hard it would be for JDG to play in these open spaces around Baron and Dragon. The calmer this goes, the more likely we are to get to that point.
So whenever it comes to games like these, you start to ask yourself, what's the priority going to be? Take a look at this first, though.
Maybe it's mid lane priority here for Top Esports. They find the gank instantly dead. First blood there onto Yagao. Kanavi late to the party.
There we go. I mean, essentially I was about to say it was not going to be about Dragons. It's going to be about the lane.
Fair enough.
Especially Aki being able to hit 6, finds himself that gank, easy gold being put on in Knight's pocket. And it's going to be the same thing because the Cloud Dragon earlier on, all it really does is enable teams to think more about how to get the lanes ahead. If you look at the control ward that LvMao has in the bot side of the map, it enables Kanavi to be looking for lane ganks there whenever possible. So I would say Kanavi, after his clear and Krugs, should base, find himself bot lane, and make it easier here for LvMao and Imp.
Make something happen now, especially since he has the explosive cask. And to separate the two lovers down this bottom lane, actually not sure how the Mage and Frog would kind of go on a date.
You only say lovers for, you know,
Zaya Rakan, I get it. I don't
never
know,
call any weird duo lovers. Not even the Nautilus. That just makes too many bad, you know, fanfics.
I
No
feel
one wants
like
to be a
actually
part
that
of.
would be okay.
No, it wouldn't.
They're kind of like demons, aren't they?
No one knows what Nautilus is. You can't call him a demon.
He's a demon.
No, he does. He's just a person in a mask.
Okay. He's got glowing eyes, so I'll make you...
Everyone has glowing eyes.
They do
Ask
not.
the developers. Whenever you see a Pantheon just looks like a human being, but for whatever reason he has orange glowing eyes.
He's like an undead Spartacus, all right?
No, everyone can't be undead.
Okay.
I'm just saying whenever there's a design choice, that everyone just has glowing eyes.
Okay, you can see I shouldn't be a designer. Just be like everyone's undead.
I'm not saying that they made that choice. I'm just saying that any
leaving the possibility, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. It's like, you know, casting with Clement. I just said, Clement, this will happen. He goes, yeah, probably. But that's fair. At this point, as we return to reality, just for a second, Top Esports still big transitions here as Aki going back into the enemy jungle, looking towards top side. You see the control for Top Esports towards that top side is all theirs. Except for the Tri-Brush, which Aki's about to walk over. The ward just expired, but turns into a Ghost Poro, so Zoom now knows he's in trouble.
Ooh, let's see if we can get out of this one.
Arctic Assault into the Glacial Prison, knocks him down. He can't hold. He's going to go into the World Ender anyway, but no reset there. Dies immediately, and Top Esports juggle that like they're juggling balls.
Easy setup, but take a look at LvMao. Always looking for a possibility, trying to get something going alongside Yagao, but it happens way too quickly. Feels bad when your support's trying to make the plays, roaming up topside, and nothing is happening on that one.
They're a really big ask. Kanavi, meanwhile, his trade will be the Dragon in the bottom lane, so getting something with the next coming up Mountain, but Aki now starting the Rift Herald, and it's only 10 minutes in.
And this can definitely live in the game with the next Dragon being a Mountain. So, going to be a lot more aggressive, taking the straight.
Duet lands into the Vanguard's edge. You just find yourself an easy kill. Solo kills for Knight. What do you expect? LvMao is roaming into the mid lane, and he wish he wasn't there. Knight is styling on this mid.
These lanes are not looking too good for JD. Right out of the gate, 369, Naki is able to get the kill on towards Zoom. And then you find that happen, a solo kill onto Yagao just like that.
Man, he was already 10 CS up. I guarantee you the next back is going to be dangerous. And Yagao starting to feel the pressure a little bit as Rift Herald now secured. Top Esports can send this top, send it mid, even look for Zoom again.
All right, let's go for the play.
Arctic Assault available. 369 hits him first. They're looking for the chains. Remember, it's a melee
Got
matchup,
it.
so it counts with the permafrost. There's no ult available for Zoom. He's getting bullied as well. Solo laners in hell as Zoom almost makes the escape. In fact, does. 369 can't get the parlay off, and Kanavi's coming in.
Yes, Flash here, he even has Blue Smite. See how much damage.
Aki no ult just yet, but we look to the bottom side while they engage onto Chocho. You get the Hail of Blades, but LvMao spat back up. Ult goes golden, but the damage is still there. LokeN
Teleport
should be able to
behind
find him. The Fate's Call will pull him out of danger, but you mentioned the teleport. It's Knight who's coming in.
All right, they have a clear exit, so wait a minute. Are we doing this
This
again?
is still happening as an ult back onto Zoom. They flash, they want the permafrost, but Zoom gets out a second time, this time burning his own flash.
It doesn't matter if it's XX or Aki. If you're on Top Esports, you're camping top lane. That's the lesson that we have here today, but Yagao's putting a stop to it. Get away from my top laner.
Well spotted here by Top Esports, running away from the turret.
Run.
Could have been even worse than it was, but Zoom surviving this. let's not forget the pressure he was in before. Now this is a good moment. Able to pick up turret plating, and JDG able to control this top side of the map here against top.
That just makes you a fan of JD and Zoom. Like, no one wants to be camped consistently. It's frustrating. So being able to see him succeed, get out of that situation cleanly, pie on Aki's face.
It's a good news story. At least JDG can play through one of these lanes, because bottom lane was already ahead, sure, but top Esports were able to quell that with the last engage, with LvMao burning the ultimate and burning the engage himself. Even top Esports to push this bottom lane turret. Gold back into Viktor's hands.
And you can already see with the Nautilus movement, they're just going to be giving this one away. They don't have much of a choice if you're JD. But so far, this has been pretty good from top Esports, at least with how their bottom lane has been doing.
Yeah.
You love to see it happening. The quest gold had already been completed by LokeN, which is why he's been farming it up. But take a look at this.
Knight might be called out. Dredge
Wow.
line dodged away, but only by an inch. Kanavi burns the Predator as well. 3 members mid for JDG, while the Rift Herald charged the bottom lane and ran into Imp.
I thought that hook was supposed to be thick.
Yep.
But apparently, he just held his gut and got straight through it.
I saw one on the LEC last night that was next to a turret and curved its way through. So
Yeah, there we go. Unlucky. What can you say?
big question mark. Well, close but no cigar for LvMao. At the end of the day, they pull away from the mid lane, and so does Knight. I was wondering what he was going to get next time he backed it. It was only the Phage, or at least I don't think he's backed it a long time. So Knight would be sitting on a hell of a lot of gold. Also now hitting level 11.
There we go. I mean, he's doing incredibly well for himself. That's why he's on bot side, where I would expect the dual lane to be. But it makes a lot of sense that they're mid to be able to eat as many waves, and they're just great wave clear, if you have a Viktor there. But he's going to be tested very soon.
Level 8 into the mid lane. Death Charge comes out. Flash immediately underneath the turret. Looking for the dredge line. They find it. They pull him back in. And Delete it, but the gravity field underneath turret. Kanavi almost dies.
Help.
The cannon barrage makes him go golden, but Chocho's here. 1 lick, 2 lick. We need a tongue lash to get the 3rd. He can't get the kill, but Kanavi. That was well played.
Well played. And you even saw Yagao batting the frog out of there. Chocho had no chance to be able to save his AD carry on LokeN. So an easy kill. 46 seconds until Dragon comes up. Gives him a pretty good chance to be able to ward up the bot side area.
First kill of the game. You said it, Raz. It'd be a fight over the Mountain Dragon. And the setup now coming through is pings going down to the bottom side. Blue buff will be first. Vision control next here for JDGs. Right now, it's looking all blue for top Esports.
A lot of gold being put into the Viktor's pockets just based off the Rift Herald on bot lane tower. But take a look at it. It's top actually that has priority over the Dragon. Simply because you already saw mid lane being pushed as JD made that mass base. So sure, they got a good base off, but now they have to fight for positioning around mid lane so they can actually look for some Dragon pressure, but that's not going to be a possibility.
Top Esports, so walking into the enemy side of the jungle. Any other team, you'd think it's pretty dangerous here, but 4 members grouped up. Gangplank with teleport available, but no cannon barrage can join the fight. Top Esports are the one to start off. LvMao still very squishy at this point. Looking for the face to come through. Aki goes too far forward. Has to flash out into the glacial position. Re-engage onto Kanavi, who gets surged with lightning, as well as the blades that spear him in the back. Top Esports, a double kill tonight. And this guy, he's 90 down on JDG.
Yeah, JD, get away from that tower immediately. That's 4 kills now in Knight's pocket. This man has been alongside his team along all of these fights. First one being a solo kill, so no one was actually even there for that one. But he's styling in this game.
2 kills for him and a Dragon as well. Top Esports keep cashing in, and there's almost, not even almost a 5K gold lead at this point for Top Esports. The early game, did we talk about it being theirs? Because it sure as well is now.
So the issue with JD, the reason why this was difficult for them was because the wave clear was just not in their favor. I mean, Kalista, of course, doesn't have a Renowned Hurricane just yet. Doesn't have an ability to be able to wave clear herself against the Viktor, no less. And Jayce is not going to be providing that, especially if he's positioning for poke. True. So that's completely fine. But, I mean, fighting and positioning for vision control of Dragon is already tough enough. But if you see LvMao willing to face check, yeah, it's a lot of damage coming across. But take a look at the Kanavi ultimate doing a lot of work on Aki.
Yeah.
Aki flashing out the way he did was so crucial. If he didn't flash out immediately, he would have been the one dying on that one. And he wouldn't have been able to respond to get that kill on the Kanavi, or at least put him in stasis, hold him firm for Knight to be able to take the kill.
And on that note, you said it in the early game, but Aki is playing a good game of League of Legends. This is a transition for Top Esports that, 1, we didn't expect, and 2, didn't expect it to be going this smoothly. even Chocho playing out the laning phase pretty well, considering a lot of AD carry subs don't actually play support too well.
Yeah, and to be able to see it happening, and it's mostly, in my eyes, happening because the lanes themselves have been playing really well.
True.
I think LokeN, Chocho, Knight. Oh, well, we're going
He's
for
been
another
proactive
one.
though onto Zoom. He's going to pop the world end and looking for the sun underneath turret now. It's Knight this time, so Zoom heals up a bucket load and survives.
No miscommunication there. They recognized the healing was coming in pretty strong, and they just move away from it. But take a look at 369.
Response on the bottom side. 369 has a cannon barrage. Will he use it? Dredgeline doesn't
Oh my
connect.
God.
He outplays for the time being, but look mid. Imp's being caught out. Slowed down. Healed up for the speed. Looking for one more. Licky time! Yes, it is! LokeN finds it with the Chaos Storm, and that's another kill going to top esports.
Across the board, top esports are doing well. The only strong side JD had was the dive on bot side, and that one went real south real quickly.
There's 3 people there. 369 just walked to the right. A good style for top esports, and the strength coming off the back of Rift Rivals, a big question. I'm glad to see top esports are just as motivated as they were before.
Take a look at this. I mean, the lane had already been so strong for Knight, but to be able to see him just be unanswerable on side lane.
Yeah.
He was bot side where Imp was essentially wave clearing, and Imp doesn't want to do that anymore. He just wants to be mid and well protected on that one too. Now Knight's answering Zoom on side lane, and of course the Irelia is going to be able to handle him easily. So we're at a state of the game right now. If Knight ends up just putting himself in a 1-4, or at least just throwing himself up top lane and having that shove, they're always going to have vision control in the red side jungle.
Hard right now just to get a read on JDG and what they're trying to do. You see towards the Baron is the next call. Set up vision so that this 20-minute Baron doesn't become a reality.
But Kanavi has a good answer. Ooh, that was close. I thought Yagao was going to be opened up on with the Irelia ultimate, but Knight didn't want to go for it. But there is an answer. We saw it with Kanavi getting the cask on towards Aki.
Yep.
Oh, no. We see you, buddy.
Flawless duet. Yagao, are you ready for another solo kill, ladies and gentlemen? Knight is. He goes over the wall, maybe too far, but he just turns anyway. Kanavi gets the explosive casket. That was a little bit too much, a 1-for-1 in the end.
That's shutdown gold, so I'm going to say it's worth. You know, that was already a struggling Jayce. And now you're able to get some kill gold there from Knight. So at least you got that going for you, and it's going to be going in towards the Gragas.
Yep.
But that's the reality now. If Irelia is on a side lane against the Jayce, the Aatrox, there's not much you can do about it. I think next time we're going to be seeing top esports put themselves in the same lane assignments, the only difference being Aki will be leaning that side. That if it's going to be a full 1v1, you're going to be seeing a possible teleport as LokeN has a TP coming up soon. You're certainly going to be seeing the Sejuani at least joining in the fight, being in the area.
Certainly unmatchable. There's a Titanic Hydra second here from Knight. So 2 items before the 20-minute mark. It makes that 1v1 even easier. Right now, it might be Zoom who has to match due to the World Ender, due to the potential Death's Dance coming a little bit later that could help him survive. But even through that mid lane matchup, that is what, 2 and a bit gold, 2,500.
9.3K versus 6.8K.
Yeah.
That is the difference that we have here. That is huge.
Yeah.
3K gold difference in between Knight and Yagao.
Even LokeN has himself a cheeky 1,000 gold over Imp. So for the bottom lane that we were expecting to play defensively, now on the aggressive end, the Tahm, Kench, and Viktor sitting in the mid lane with Aki.
That's the least, talked about point of the game. I know it's been silent about it, but just talking about the idea that LokeN was able to get so much going for himself. Yeah, we're just
World Ender going to come through. Redemption as well. 369 going to get healed up. He flashes away, but the World Ender gets the reset.
Oh,
Ching
no.
comes in Knight as well. Wants to take on 1v3. Zoom, remember, has the revive, so you need to kill him first. Goes into the stasis, or rather the World Ender being the gravity surge, and the ult lands on him as well. LokeN picks up his second kill of the game. JDG have to disengage because they've lost their top laner as well as top esports.
And Knight wasn't able to hit the ultimate, but he was still strong enough to be able to get that kill. So at least the response came through from top esports, and at a great timing with the Mountain Dragon.
Double mountain here for top esports as well. JDG back away. Kanavi leaves it for another day, and they're heading up towards the Baron side because now's a good opportunity to get the vision down and start clearing out some of top esports' pesky wards.
So you can start seeing the gold bounty being there for the Viktor, and it goes back to that discussion about, how much gold he really had. With the quest gold being completed really early on, the fact that he was able to get that and start CSing immediately, that's why he has that gold advantage over the enemy AD carry. But taking a look at this play, of course, two players being able to come in and defend you. The Tahm Kench ultimate actually was incredibly helpful because the Irelia wasn't just, you know, held to her own devices there. She was actually able to get some help, and getting that kill on Zoom was easy because of that.
Knight threw his zoning ult in that fight as well. As
Yep.
Still towards the second arms. Waiting for the third one here for Knight, where many options available, but
Oh, no.
at this point, JDG trying to force Chocho. Tahm Kench left to his wayside. LokeN's going to do a bit of poke here, is delaying by Chocho. The rest of the team's coming in. They can't kill him because they know the teleport to come in. Aki over the wall,
Slowing
throwing Chocho.
him.
The flash is there. They get the glacial prison. It's onto Yagao. And Chocho played perfect baiting frog gamers. Cannon barrage as well. Let's just jump onto Zoom. Knight ready to go in, but one is enough. Let's head to Baron.
My God, JD can't look for any plays without a response coming through. That's just the beauty of the composition Top Esports have, with the Tahm Kench there, semi-global, always ready to protect people on side lanes, and in that instance, you thought of the teleport. 3 teleports just being a standard in the meta has just made it so, I mean, if you are that far behind, you're going to stay behind.
But for JDG, is it going to continue? Because Knight found the two-man force duet. JDG looking for the steal. Kanavi's over the wall, but the Baron's being stopped with the explosive cast. He's late to the party again. Top Esports go from right back to left onto the Baron. Triple kill for Knight. Give him the Quadra. Kanavi picks up one, but this Irelia is still alive, Raz, and Chocho wants to get him as Baron goes down for Top Esports. And Knight going to get the chase, but Kanavi's on his way out. Let's go.
I don't know about this one, Chocho.
Execute. No. 369 finds it.
That was still fun at the end of the day. But man, yeah, JDG are getting absolutely torn apart. I like the idea Kanavi had. I mean, throwing that cask to be able to separate the enemy team and allow it easier for his back line. Yeah, sure, but the fight was already ended by that point. Irelia is just way too strong.
Yeah.
When she was opened up like this, 2 stuns on that one, able to fully commit to the fight after being eaten up, and gets 2 kills instantly. By the time Gragas had anything to do with that with his cast, Irelia had already found herself a double kill, and now moving towards that triple.
Top Esports pulled off the Baron at like 2.5k HP as well. As a unit, this is a cohesive team in game 1 that is, as you said, styling over JDG, but further to the point of playing a very good team fight-oriented style.
I mean, look, I think
their
their macro has been great.
There you go.
I think for the fact that Aki and Chocho coming in and what seems to be an emergency situation, with, you know, one visa situation, just so people who weren't here for the pregame, Ben was not able to come in because of his visa situation since Rift Rivals, so we'll see when he's able to come back. But for now, Chocho, who has role change from AD carry to support, how he's able to do this. And then, of course, just XX has just been ill. So, sick you'd assume. So, Aki's going to be coming in with his debut, and this is the situation we're in. 2 new players for the team, certainly different dynamics, and they're able to just essentially go back to what made them strong, which is Knight, 369, play the top side and succeed in the early game.
Those core members have been having a performance itself as well. Knight now 8-1. Sterex Gauge coming very shortly as the level 16 Irelia is 3 levels ahead of Yagao. I guarantee the gold's even further up, and right now trailing behind. Top Esports looking for the siege in base, and 369 can sit in the mid lane, the 1-4 in full effect.
This is what you got to love about Knight. There are a few players out there that are just that confident, that skilled, and they just play to what is their own skill and advantage. Chovy and Showmaker are 2 players that you have in the LCK that have that identity, and in the LPL, Knight is that man.
Just constantly showing us game 1 was only a taste, or rather is at the moment. Feels like was is going to be the saying in a second as 12k gold lead, the first inhibitor dropping down. Top Esports on the tear, and JDG just clearing up the rest of the minion wave once they've left. That's all they can do. One final fight. Feels like it's going to be the last.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to even look for this dive here. The concern is that top lane wave is not doing them any service. It's not helping them at all. And it would take a long time for them to look towards a super minion in the bot lane. So good on Knight. Start really pulling people in to defend this top lane turret. Or at least challenging them to do so.
Yeah. Just sitting in the sideway, finally goes down, and Baron's got 30 seconds left remaining. LokeN does take a big hit as Kanavi goes in, gets stunned midway. At least the body box there is Zoom. Now needs to commit with the World Eater. Pops into the ult, but a 2-man gravity surge pulls them together, claps them in, and Top Esports saving away LokeN. That's what Chocho's best at this game. Imp watches his team gets dissipated, and Knight comes in for the last hurrah.
They're not even looking for the win anymore. They just have one set goal, and that's to kill somebody. They just wanted to kill LokeN. LokeN had to die, and they couldn't do it.
It's just so hard here for JDG. Game 1 runs past them. And immediately Top Esports are going for the win.
My goodness. What a game that we're able to see from Top Esports to come in this strong. And for a debut, to be coming in 0-0 and 11.
10,
Welcome to the LPL, Aki.
1 and 3 though on night. That's the first place my eyes goes. But you're right, the makeshift team of Top Esports still dismantle Jingdong Gaming.
That was clean.
Clean's a good word.
You don't get to see this a lot from our best teams in the LPL. I'm just going to talk about the idea. If you get that large of an advantage, just play through side lanes like that. Just stick on the side lane and challenge anybody to come and fight you. That's what happened here. You didn't get that answer from Yagao. He died and sitting in that top lane bush because he didn't want to deal with it.
Yep.
Didn't know the bush was warded. You saw the same situation there from Zoom as well. At the end of the day, lanes got thrashed, and when JD tried to answer in the bot lane dive,
Twice.
didn't happen.
Yeah. We can break it down by one moment, and level 3 moment here from Kanavi trying to get to that bot lane dive, and that's what the game felt like. Deniability from Top Esports.
For the first 10 minutes, as you can already see in the gold graph, a lot of that was trading sides, incredibly respectful. There was no possibility for a dive to happen in either lanes. There was an attempt.
Sure.
It was very close because of that, both LokeN and QiuQiu being level 1, so that was a good attempt. But once that was diffused, at the end of the day, lanes are being frozen. Junglers just had to focus on their own experience until they got level 6, and were able to make plays happen. First one happened mid. Great, point of pressure there for Aki, who was able to find that kill alongside Knight. And so Knight just snowballed.
From there, one was
that
all
was
it took. Yeah.
That was it.
How many solo kills that game? At least 2.
I would say 3. I'm gonna simply because of the side lane, top lane kill on Jayce. I think it happened again, but a safe bet would probably be 2 on that one. But man, that was the type of game you want to be able to see from Knight.
That's right. So Irelia was the first start. I noticed Aki in the end went towards the top side religiously there for 369, who was ramping up as well. There was never a point in that game past 20 minutes where you felt like JDG could outscale, outmatch, unless they found that pick with the Gragas.
Because vision control is hard. And I think that, JD were trying to make plays happen. There was specifically the one when they went towards bottom lane, but that got turned. The one where they tried mid on towards Tahm Kench, and that got turned. And a lot of the reasons is, we're living in a meta. Doesn't matter how many times you nerf teleport. You just have 3 lanes that all have teleport.
Yeah.
And they're going to be able to constantly respond. And the semi-global of Tahm Kench is going to make it even harder if the teleports have already been used.
That's true.
So if you are behind, if the enemy team are on their A game, you're going to be continuously pushed back. You're going to be put in a stasis, essentially. The whole idea of mid-game, just team fight to get yourself back in, has been countered out here by Top Esports.
It was a counter towards JDG, and it was a game 1. I think you'd be proud of if you're a Top Esports fan. Small break, then coming back with game 2 right after this.
这边但是逮到了一个落单的南风，这个位置金属大师一个大招是直接命中了，所以现在跑到边缘了之后是跑不掉了，但好在身上有一个治疗，非常肉，同时交出自己的闪现，但是大招出来之后发现身边3个都是对面的人，好在这边塔姆及时支援过来，一口吃掉了这边的金贡，同时反手雷克赛是秒掉了这边的泡芙，后续范布拉斯还在追击，
这没有塔的呀。感觉都要死啊！
是这个位置很尴尬，身上也是没有闪现的，
又被勾了一下，眼雀还想拉距离，被雷克赛闪现顶，也是一个 shutdown。这个黄门弄斧啊！
但是这波感觉要炸呀，这个位置。
抬回来了，效果还不错，不过先牺牲掉了赵信，立刻对 B 跟着上来，再打出了把南风给抬了起来，南风也遭到了击杀，是由小天这边拿下的一个双杀。后面林伟翔再补上了一个腐败剑雨，减速一下，帕普靠边以后被勾了回去。
没有战斗力了。
对，来上路这波看到克斯又是主动的找惹帅来单挑，第一波的电完以后，已经把惹帅的无效化这网球给电了出来。那惹帅是被抓了一波贤者模式的时候，这波对拼，
您这边是在下路把
又是一个一闪，
哇，好
强行
快的电，
QQ，
逼出一个闪现，
逼出一个闪现。
我的溜回头一个大招甩一下，
是没有知道佐伊再来的一发气炮，但是这波克斯已经来到了一个正面惹帅的位置，相当的一个危险。他闪现还没有交，而且寒冰这边是利用自己这个闪现躲过贴脸 Lucky 的一个输出以后，克斯已经重置了自己的一个大面。这波剑魔感觉无人可挡，直接贴到这个 Love 脸上，疯狂的平 A， 这个 Love 被 Icon 给带走。而另外一边，这波克斯是直接杀疯了，闪现上来要再杀。 乱锤一通，克斯直接倒下以后，这个红区的一个视野 ，IG 还想要继续的入侵。
哎，灵王直接被开了，应该能秒掉，直接被秒掉了灵王。但是猪女自己的位置也很危险，交出一个闪现逃跑，不过 Rookie 一个锤子把猪女锤死了。
是 JK Love 这波是直接叫了 R 技能进来，一个人下3个人，雨下下来的艾卡西亚暴雨 ，JK Love 拿下 Double Kill，
直接一波了呀。
是的。